It's Friday, October 15th, 2021. We're halfway through October. Nothing insane has happened yet in the global stage and countries and invasion and things, but there's some scary stuff in the news.
It's bold for you to make that, considering this won't come out for
a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got security and nonsense, so this is going to be a fun episode. And it's also brought to you by Linode. We're kicking off Devember a little early. Some people start with like Hacktober, because we're in October, so it's like Hacktober. If you want to think of it as like Hacktober leading into Devember, that's totally fine. We got a Devember thread on the forum. You can get free Linode credits because we are doing Devember once again, and you can do it on Linode. You can do a development project, and that's all fun, but we've also got a gaming challenge that Chris is working on. We haven't worked out the details yet, but we're letting for you early bird folks, you can get started.
It seems like it's going to be Minecraft again, because no one can think of a better. Because with Krista's challenge, it's going to be more about the design. But we're trying to get her to come up with. I think the problem we're going to have there is that the people who are currently on the Minecraft server and have kind of taken it over, because once we were done with it, we were like, all right, you guys can have that. It's gotten crazy. And they're already talking about, it's like, well, we need to make sure that the server can run all of my farms because it's slowing it down. It's like, no, bro, you need to make less farms.
We're going to set up a new instance and keep the old instance. So it's totally, you can see what it was like last year, and it's really incredible. The mass transit system on that Minecraft server is better than most American cities.
But I want this, here's the thing about that, right? We need to come up with a challenge where we can funnel all of that energy into it. But if I'm somewhat, like last year, I think the number one was a guy who had just lost his job, right?
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, I got nothing to do.
I don't want to think about the darkness.
And it's, I'm locked down. So let me just do this every day. Now, if I'm a guy who's coming in 2 hours after work every day, I need to be able to compete with that.
Yeah.
So how can we design a challenge? I don't know how.
But Linode is helping us. And Linode is your cloud hosting solution provider. They have solutions that are compatible with Amazon's S3. You can even do SSL with those now. You can do EC2 style hosting, Kubernetes clusters. We've done so much content with Linode. It's amazing, and our own stuff is hosted there. You should definitely check out their tutorials because they're putting together an amazing knowledge library of like set up WireGuard, set up OwnCloud, set up this, all with their hosting. And it's really inexpensive for what it is.
Got a nice library of one-clicks too. Mm-hmm. You can one-click Minecraft. We don't because we use some mods to try to anti-grief our servers, but you can totally one-click on Minecraft. You just want to make your own.
Yeah.
Let your kids play Minecraft online without being harassed by, child predators.
Yay! It's a password that only they and their friends have.
Until somebody give it away. And then Jared from Subway's on your Minecraft server.
Is he out yet? I don't think he's out yet.
I think he will be fairly soon, though.
Yeah, probably.
That's going to be weird. Think he'll get a reality show?
Yes.
Well, the big news we've kind of already talked about was the Twitch. Well, I guess, which was the bigger story? Facebook or Twitch? Had to be Facebook, right?
Facebook, yeah.
But Twitch.
Good timing on Twitch's part.
Yeah, Twitch was maybe worse, right? Because, oh boy, everything was leaked.
Twitch source code and business data leaked on 4chan. This is literally everything. All of everything. The number of subs, who subbed to what, the accounts, the password hashes, so they say, a whole bunch of other things. I haven't seen the stream keys, but when you reset your password, it resets your stream key. So, and curiously, Twitch still hasn't forced a password reset, which is very surprising.
I changed mine, and I learned that now Twitch will let you change your username.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, that was cool. I didn't know that. So I imagine a lot of people are going to be doing that. But yeah, like you say, there is nothing that did not come out. Obviously, all the money came out, and a lot of people were somewhat embarrassed by, like all of a sudden their viewers like, oh, you're making $3 million a year.
I was really hoping that somebody like Dr. Shane would be in the list, and it's like, oh, good for him. He's making like $100,000 a month, but no, you watch his stuff and you just feel bad for him.
Luckily, we don't have to worry about that because we're lucky to break 600 in a given month. And most of that comes from Galinda.
Thank you.
I shouldn't say that because then everybody else is like, I donate just as much as him.
Like Nubbin. Come on, Nubbin.
Poor Nubbin. But obviously, once that happens, you got to start pointing fingers, right? People got to bring up all the horrible stuff that led up to this.
Twitch's security problems started long before this week's hack, according to The Verge. Bad security practices made the breach seem inevitable from former employees. So this is talking about how there have been a lot of hate raids. There have been a lot of people that have found success online, Twitch streaming, niche content kind of things. And some people are just, I don't know, it upsets them. And so,
But I don't think that's what spawned that. I think that a lot of the hate rate stuff was because of like politics and sexuality and stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of those people are getting on there, spouting off, telling people how to live.
Yeah.
And then the 4chan gets together and they're like, how can we hurt them? And they're very good at it.
How can we have these two groups pitted against one another?
Well, that's what Twitch doesn't want.
Yeah. Well, their tools for dealing with that were also in that leak. And so now you have more ammunition to know how to defeat those tools. But also there's just basic things that they could do to make things a little better in terms of like blacklisting things and to deal with hate raids as they happen. But here's the code base. They obviously haven't done that. So I think this leak will also force them to deal with that in a little bit more head-on kind of a way.
It also revealed that there was a Steam competitor buried in all of that.
Amazon is working on a game competitor or game distribution platform competitor. Oops.
You know what? It's going to be the Epic model.
That's probably why Amazon bought them.
Amazon Prime is going to give me so many free games that I'm going to have to adopt another game library. Great. Thanks. Well, Google has been pounding on the desk saying you all need to turn on two-factor authentication. What is wrong with you? The uptake was like 10% or 30% maybe? It was really low. And so they're saying, what can we do to get people to do this?
Google is about to turn on two-factor authentication by default for millions of users. This is really just a ploy to sunset a bunch of inactive accounts, in my opinion. They're also changing how the inactive account manager thing works. So like if Ryan doesn't log in for a month, he can have a setting that's like, if I don't log in for 3 months, assume that I'm dead and send an email to this person who can then have control of my stuff, which is kind of a cool feature.
Until you get arrested.
Yeah. This is one way that Google is going to get rid of inactive accounts.
That's going to hurt our YouTube subscriber count.
Probably.
And Apple has added another feature, this one more security focused, to its iOS. A lot of people have been screaming for this for a long time.
Apple finally lets you report App Store scams. Remember that whole epic Apple lawsuit? And Apple was like, we don't have scams in the App Store. If we did, we would have a button for it.
Remember the $35 dog fax via SMS?
Now you can report an error.
Nothing might happen, but you'll feel good pressing the button, right?
Apple's going to very quickly find that it's got a staffing problem because of too many presses of the button.
Yeah. How long before they have to hire Accenture from Facebook?
That would be a pretty cool rotation. It's like one day you have to look at like the most really awful stuff, and then the rest of the week you got the cool down for,
Yeah. How many Apple bugs does it take to make up for one murdered lizard?
Or one beheading video. It's just like...
Well, we've talked a lot about bug bounties, and the bug bounty programs are really good PR things, and they're actually very useful because it costs you a lot less to pay the bounty than to deal with the fallout. What if Twitch had a bug bounty and they had found the leak? My God, that would be a lot better, right? But they do tend to lowball.
Twitch researcher refuses Telegram's bounty award and discloses an auto-delete bug. Telegram took months to fix the quote-unquote self-destruct message bug, and then it requested silence. So this researcher was like, all right, you know what? Let's just publish this.
So Telegram has this auto-delete thing, and I guess that's like, didn't Twitter do that for a while? Mm-hmm. Where you do something, and then it just disappears completely. Well, the images and the messages would get deleted, but the images still stored on your device. So if you sent a temporary nude, it's like, oh, I would never risk doing that for real, but this is going to get deleted.
No, it's still there.
And this man was offered $1,000. He was insulted by that. This is terrifying because this kind of goes along with all of those supply chain attacks, right?
Yes.
You don't know that this risk is there because you don't know that this company is even part of your world, but it is.
A company that routes billions of text messages quietly says that it was hacked. So billions of text messages a year, and hackers had unauthorized access to its systems for years.
2016. is when they got in.
So I think we just figured out how a lot of the two-factor hacks happened with
the crypto.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because if they can identify, all they have to do is find some data dump that marries your account email with, or your SMS number with your value in crypto.
Yep.
Once they make that comparison, that's easy.
Yeah. And they can look through all your old text messages if you texted somebody a password or something.
And they can monitor it because they're still in there, right? So that when you two-factor to change your password because you're worried somebody's fishing around on Coinbase, guess what?
Now, the other thing from our very first story of the week that's kind of in parallel here that I alluded to is that all of your text messages were stored not on your device, which made it really easy to search. So law enforcement could come and say, hey, has anybody ever text messaged about this literally anywhere in the database? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, that might be some new leads that we have for ABCXYZ. You think that, that data set is absurdly huge. We couldn't possibly do that. And yet here we are. We could. We absolutely could since 2016. So if you don't think that that will exist for Google and searches and anything that you've done in the past, you are very naive.
We need to set up a honeypot ransomware thing, right? And then once they get in and we're talking to them, it'd be like, yeah, this is not an important system. We know we're not paying the ransom. We want to hire you. We want you to manage the Twitch infrastructure.
That'd be nice.
Then they would just sell everything.
Yeah.
Because they're bad people. I love these stories. I don't think that this will ever be used in the wild, maybe by some, like high-level state stuff. But remember the light bulb?
Oh, yeah.
Where you could just shoot a laser at a light bulb and record a room. I love stuff like this.
A blank wall can show how many people are in the room and what they're doing. The technique is the latest method to glean a surprising amount of surveillance information from a meager source. So basically, this was using AI and looking at the wall in a whole bunch of different spectrums. And just from the natural radiation that was there, they were able to figure out where people were in the room, how many people there were, and what those people were doing.
And if you train people by filming the wall and making them do things that do jumping jacks, then you can train this thing to be better.
Neat.
It's crazy. So obviously, who's going to be immune to this? Hoarders.
Yeah.
So you need to hoard for security.
Or just having the tin foil in the wall is probably enough.
You know what? Just put strobe lights all through your house. Anytime you're in a room, it's got to have a strobe light in it.
Nice.
And then the shadows from the strobe, they'll figure that out. We have a new add-on. I've tried it out for the past couple of days. I haven't noticed a ton of difference, to be honest with you. Broke a couple of websites. But it's nice to have something between no script and all the scripts.
The Free Software Foundation has announced JShelter, a browser add-on to combat threats from non-free JavaScript. So you can run this and still allow websites to run some JavaScript, but this is supposed to block JavaScript like Blue Kai and Snowplow and Adobe's thing and a couple of other things that do the invasive analytics. It also blocks some aspects of Google Analytics.
I noticed that in Gmail, the live chat doesn't work when you make Gmail.
Nice.
Which is great because I don't want that. Here's another data breach. These are just routine at this point.
Neiman Marcus. Data breach impacts 4.6 million customers. If you got a Neiman Marcus card, you're affected. They got your address and your name and your phone number and also your card. Basically everything but the CVV.
And they know your terrible taste in clothing. Shameful. This is fun because software as a service, right? It's wonderful, but what are you really bringing to the table in that equation? What are you offering? In some cases, maybe nothing, and you might not even be you might not be the cog in that machine that you think you are.
Ransomware gangs are complaining that other crooks are stealing their ransom. Ransomware gangs are shocked to find out that cyber crooks will scam other criminals if they can. So there's this kind of hierarchy where there's people making ransomware tools that are so good they can't possibly infect enough businesses quickly. So they farm out hey, do you have a lead on a system? You got an open RDP port? You got somewhere we can deploy our ransomware? Oh, you do? Okay, use our ransomware and we'll give you a cut. Except the criminals double cross the other criminals.
Because those crypto keys are coming through their servers. And it's easy, it's trivial. All the malware already exists to scan for keys and rip them off. So, hey, we got a big haul. Oh, that's good news. And then, you delete them. take all their money. No honor among thieves, as they say. This is a perfect story. You know what? I should put it after the other one because that whole thing about the secret SMS. They in this story they point out the record.media. I love the record.media. They are one of the best paywall alternative websites. Shout out to the record.media. If you ever paywall us, we'll turn on you. But the record.media was like, we don't know how it happened. I think we might have a pretty good lead on that last story.
Hackers bypass Coinbase 2FA to steal customer funds. So SMA-based two-factor and gain access to user accounts. Guess what? More than 6,000 users. Uh-oh.
But Coinbase is going to refund all the money.
That's good.
It's expensive. They must be making a lot.
Shows you how much money there is to be made in the finance industry in general. Good Lord.
Yeah. For sure. Now, that was a low-skill hacker, I believe, right?
Yes.
Someone doing that, they really don't, again, you don't bring anything to the table, so when they steal from you, what are you going to do? Go get a real job. These guys, or at least whoever built this, incredible.
Yorkshire Games GameBoy device could unlock a car in seconds. This, I'm pretty sure, has a Raspberry Pi in it. I'm pretty sure I've got one of those, over there. I
don't know. They said it was worth $20,000. Do you think all that markup is just the assembly and software?
Probably,
not the parts, right?
Right.
Because I can't imagine what part would be in there that'd be worth $20,000.
No, some of these unlocks, I don't know about this particular exploit because it doesn't go into it, but for example, the Tesla cars had a Bluetooth exploit which stemmed from a Bluetooth vulnerability that was in the Linux kernel. And so if you could get in through Bluetooth on a Tesla car, you could, and you knew it was a Tesla, you could tell it to just unlock the doors and start the engine and it would happily comply.
This gentleman was caught. He was stealing a specific kind of car that I've never heard of before. I'm pretty sure it was an electric car. And I guess probably the electric car has the kind of new interface that this works with.
They arrested 3 people in total.
There's no starter, right?
Mitsubishi Outlander.
Okay, yeah. Mitsubishi Outlander. They only targeted those. And I think those are electric. Unplug the car from its charging point, yeah. So if you have an electric car, at least a Mitsubishi, you might be more at risk to this kind of thing. I don't know what you're supposed to do about it. Just
firmware update for your car.
Just worry. Moving on to nonsense. This is a great story. If you've played RimWorld, which is, if you haven't, you should. It's amazing. There's a device. So in RimWorld, your characters can get sad. And if they do, bad things happen. You really need to keep morale up in the camp. There is a nuclear option where you can just put brain surgery them and put the joy wire in their head. And the joy wire will make them happy all the time, but it makes them a little bit stupid. I don't know if this makes you stupid, but this is the joy wire.
A surgically implanted brain stimulation device could help treat severe depression. It dramatically improved one patient's symptoms. I'm not feeling real good today. Bzz. Oh, suddenly everything doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah, but now the power's out. I want to kill myself.
Oh, we can't say that. That gets us demonetized or worse.
Hyperbole. So they point out, now the girl that they did this, they've only done this on one person. They have no idea if it'll work on everybody else, but she was so insanely depressed. She was like, either just do this or put me down. I'm ready to do whatever. And she said the next day, the researchers were there and she laughed and everybody dropped their test tubes. They were like, what? What just happened? Because the first time they'd ever heard her laugh.
Well,
think that could possibly be placebo.
Who cares if it is?
That's true, right?
Yeah.
Depression. Wouldn't that be funny if they start just giving people anesthesia and then sending them home? You got it. It's in there.
There are studies where they've given some people ketamine for situations like that, and just rebooting, turning it off and on again, actually does help.
Well, have you looked at the opiate placebo stuff? If they give you opiates for weeks and weeks and weeks in a hospital stay, then they just start giving you placebos, you still feel it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's at least one study that shows that some of the chemical changes, it cannot be purely psychological, because some of the machinery of the brain is still responding as if it's there. So having a little bit of the artificial means that you're able to produce some of the natural, or your brain learns how to operate its own internal machinery at a subconscious level to make your body work correctly.
It's crazy that we have so little understanding of all that.
Yeah.
Well, Fast food, man. Every fast food store that I go to, on the windows and outside in the front, we are hiring.
Yeah, it's
interviews
everywhere.
right now. Some of them are giving bonuses. They just cannot find people to work. Raising Cane's is no exception, but they have an interesting solution.
Facing an employee shortage, Raising Cane's is putting corporate staff to work as fry cooks and cashiers because the corporate staff was making less money than what it costs to hire a fry cook and a cashier right now. Why not? It's a clever solution.
Well, but it's temporary. They're looking to hire 10,000 workers in the next 50 days. So if you feel like you want to work at Raising Cane's, probably got a good shot right now.
I feel like the inflation number thing is about to just go completely crazy.
Yeah.
I just hope that the consumer, the wages go up faster
No.
than
Because we're not getting inflation. We're getting stagflation. We have stagnating earnings with inflated prices.
yeah, that's going to be worse.
Considerably worse. What can you do? If you're living in this hell of inflation and you can't afford anything, but you still got your PC, maybe you should go to free-to-play games. But you have to be very careful when you're playing a free-to-play game that you don't give out any military secrets.
Classified tank specs have leaked on War Thunder game forums again. So this is a specs for a French tank that the French have been working on for a while. And it was some kind of an argument on the forum, and it was like, no, this tank, this is what this needs to be. And
It was
like,
the speed of the rotation of the turret, which think about how obtuse that is.
it's like, here it is from the manual. This is not correct.
So, yeah. Not all Leclercs have 40 degrees per second rotation. It says so in the docs. And this guy was a tank gunner. He did have the doc, but that's top secret.
Oops.
Yeah. I don't know, though. If I'm the military, don't you feel pretty good that your tank gunner is so hyped about his tank that he's at home simulating it when he can't be in it?
That is pretty fun.
Organized crime seems to be changing. I imagine organized crime during the pandemic had a weird time, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that had to be. Maybe this is came from that because, hey, social distancing, right? Even the criminals.
Mafia bosses worry for the future as quote-unquote soft millennial mobsters prefer texting to pistol whipping. And they have some quotes from, what is it, Casa Nostra? They have some quotes in there.
La Cosa Nostra.
That's like, yeah, they keep sending text messages, and we really want them. They're just not. They just don't have the stomach for what this job requires sometimes. And it's just like, okay.
And they point out this guy got busted. Hey, this is the second text. There isn't going to be a third. That was a threat. But if you make that threat in person, there's not a lasting record of it.
Womp womp.
So, be better, mobsters. This is just you know what? I just threw this one in here because I knew that Krista would get worked up about it. Sometimes I just target Krista with stories just to see how mad she'll get. Now we don't get to find out.
Photographer deletes entire wedding album after being denied food. So this is a photographer who was hired and showed up for a wedding.
But no, this was not a photographer. This person is a dog groomer.
Oh, okay.
They were like, they begged them, please, I can't afford a photographer. I'll give you $250 if you'll do this.
Oh, and they didn't get free food from the wedding party. So,
but it went from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Good
Like
Lord.
they were driving all over doing lake shots and, like really horrible wedding people. And then that guy, when he got to the point that they were like doing the reception, he was like, oh yeah, let me put my bib on. And they're like, oh, no. You're the help.
yeah, great.
So he just deleted the memory card and went home. Enjoy your memories. There's really nothing else aside from the headline here. It's just disgusting. This is what happens when the corporations capture the regulators.
JP Morgan to boss Jamie Dimon to cut my $31.5 million of pay would quote unquote offend the board.
So he argues that his salary is set by the board, and to change it in any way would be offensive to them. So he doesn't really want to take this $31 million a year.
But the board says so.
But he's going to. I mean, he could then turn around and give it back to the employees, right? Would that offend them?
Yeah, nothing would really stop him from redistributing his pay to...
Or just anonymously start paying off college tuition and healthcare costs among the people.
I don't picture him as doing that.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to fit with his personality.
Yeah, I can't see Can't see him doing that. This is a wonderful story. It's so, I don't know why, but this is so heartwarming, but then also sad because this was such a beautiful thing that had to get destroyed by cancel culture.
The lone white Costco cart, formerly known as Blanco, is a celebrity. So
there he is.
Just the one. And it was like, wait, is this a racial thing? Let's delete it.
It was not a racial thing. What happened was this Costco was upgrading their carts, and Blanco got thrown into a ravine. So all the white carts were phased out, and the gray carts were moved in. But Blanco was still in the ravine. They found him, refurbished him, put him back in the rotation, and now everybody wants Blanco. Except you're not allowed to call him Blanco anymore. People would be all over social media when they got the cart. They were super hyped about it. There he is.
What's happening?
Standing out. I don't know what they're calling him now. But if you live in this location, you can go there and you might get lucky enough to get Blanco. Make sure to take pictures.
It's the social media sensation. Oh, it's another Krista story.
Yeah, this is a great story at the same time. Now I'm curious. Well, let's do the headline first.
Elijah Wood says that Lord of the Rings orc design was based on real-life orc Harvey Weinstein. So this talks about how Peter Jackson first went to Harvey Weinstein, and Harvey Weinstein was like, "Okay, I'll give you $75 million, and you only get
one
movies
picture
or one
he
picture."
One, yeah.
And then he went to New Line Cinema. Peter Jackson went to New Line Cinema, and they were like, "Let's do 2, maybe 3. We could probably go 3," and the rest is history.
So apparently they designed one orc, but just to make fun of him. Now, do you think it was this orc does have like a very puffy, porous face, and Weinstein, that was kind of his look.
Yeah.
So you think it was this one? I do remember when I was watching the movie, I was like, "Wow, that orc is particularly messed up."
As the disclaimer at the beginning, it's like, any resemblance to a person's living or dead is purely coincidental.
I wonder if Chris is got any lore about this particular orc.
Yes, there is lore about this particular orc.
He definitely stood out in the movie. I remember that. But yeah, Elijah Wood apparently confirmed this and dropped some F-bombs on old Harvey. Not a popular man in Hollywood.
Well, I mean, if he could have messed up, the vision, if the vision for the Lord of the Rings could be that good, and he could have messed it up that badly, imagine how many other things never came to be because he just didn't have the vision.
Is that really what we should be mad about him? Aren't there other
No,
things?
there's a lot of other things too.
Dinosaur shrimp. This story actually turned out to be a lot less interesting than the headline was, but hey, you get to look at the dinosaur shrimp, right?
Hundreds of weird 3-eyed dinosaur shrimp emerge after a heavy rain. We don't know.
Well, they have, they're like cicadas, except instead of being on a timed cycle, their eggs are just waiting for moisture. So the monsoons came in, and then you just had
they're everywhere.
Knee-deep shrimp.
Neat.
I bet the birds were having
And the squirrels.
an absolute just
So many squirrels.
buffet, right? Amazing. Delicious shrimp. Also, those are prehistoric shrimp.
They've been around a long time. They're in the fossil record.
I guess it's a pretty good strategy for survival to just wait till it gets really wet and then live for 10 or 15 minutes and die again.
Not a lot of evolution happening with those. Or so it seems.
Well, the bears are prepping for winter, and that's a good time to watch them at all the state parks. A lot of them have cameras set up, and you can just watch them. They're in the salmon streams, and they're just fattening up beautifully. But how fat are they exactly? It turns out it's actually difficult to weigh a bear. How would you go about it? They've got a new way of doing it.
Is the bear fat or just chunky? Lasers may help scientists find out. So they shoot the bear with lasers to find out if it's fat or muscle tissue or just puffy fur.
Look at him. So this is LiDAR. They use LiDAR when they're out doing stuff. If they have a large structure, they'll hit it with LiDAR to try to figure out, like the specifics of it. And he was just bored. And he was like, let me just shoot the LiDAR at the bear. There you go.
Meanwhile, in the Bear CNN, there was a story about how these bears have been suffering a mysterious sickness that they're calling Havana syndrome.
This is their version of Clearview AI. That's the LiDAR output from the head of the bear. So what they're trying to use these for is to figure out how much of the bear's girth is fat. because they have to hit a certain fat content in order to get through the winter. That's 747. Remember him? He was the fattest bear at 2020.
He's got quite the pouch going.
Can he regain the title?
No way.
Or retain, I guess is the word I'm looking for there.
He's retaining fat, water, and the title.
He's really got to cut his sodium. And you know what? We got no Krista this week, which means we get no Facebook.
Whatever craziness she's found on Facebook.
But we do have something from the Facebook marketplace that Krista didn't find it, but a lot of people did notice it.
Missouri man is selling a catalytic converter online and has forgotten to hide the meth. So it's in the background. The police were tipped off and they did make an arrest.
And you got to think that catalytic converter's stolen, right?
What's in the box though? I mean, usually a stolen catalytic converter looks like it's been something that's cut out of a car.
What, a meth head can't smash a brick through an auto parts store window?
Yeah.
Why does he have a catalytic converter and meth?
That's suspect.
I mean, I guess he could just be using the meth to do his auto body business really, really quickly and well. I don't know about well. But they did catch him, and that, I don't understand, like, I don't know about meth doses. That seems like a lot.
It does seem like a lot. I mean, if you go by how much will fit in a spoonful, and I think it's supposed to be diluted, that's a lot of spoonfuls.
Imagine if that was just salt or sugar. How long would it take you to go through that in your normal cooking?
Oh, that's at least 3 or 4 giant pitchers of sweet tea.
Engagement challenge. How long would that amount of meth last you? And this is a story where, like, they gave it an excuse. I didn't understand it at all. Did you? It made no sense. Like, how does anything excuse this? They really were just talking, and there were words, but they had no meaning at all.
The Register reports that IKEA some cameras have been found hidden in the ceiling above warehouse toilets. And IKEA says, oh, this is for health and safety. And then it was like, health and safety? What do you mean health and safety? And they said, well, these were installed in like 2015. What? And it was because we thought people might be doing drugs in the restroom, but they're not really, we don't really pay attention to those anymore. But the reason they saw them is because there was some kind of an electrical problem and the power was out. So the lights were out in the bathroom, but the camera still had power. So somebody looked up and was like, oh, that's weird. There's a weird red light. And it turns out it was a whole network of cameras in all of the bathrooms.
And they were all wired. They didn't just pop these up there with wireless and be like, yeah, I'm going to leave these up there a little while. No, there was infrastructure run for these cameras.
So I was thinking initially that it was people are spending a lot of time in the bathroom on their phone, and we got to deal with that. But they claim it was because they thought that people might be doing drugs in the bathroom.
But the first time you fire somebody for that, wouldn't you have to reveal it?
Yeah. Unless you found another reason to fire them. Or no one was doing drugs in the bathroom. And then you just were like, well, I guess we were wrong. People are just terrible.
And then you don't ever take them out, right? Because that's how that works everywhere. You never get your freedoms back.
Yeah.
Just lose them. And our final story, I am loving the stuff that's coming out of Afghanistan mostly, although this is Iran.
Yeah.
Where I guess maybe they're just like, hey, you're not going to outdo us. We're going to have better headlines than you, Afghanistan.
Iranian women on TV have been banned from eating pizza because that is too provocative, eating pizza.
Also, like pizza and sandwiches, okay, I guess those are somewhat phallic. Is that the idea? Remember the Chinese wouldn't let you eat bananas if you're a girl. But red liquids, what is that? Can't drink red liquids. You can have regular Mountain Dew, but you can't have Mountain Dew Code Red.
Engagement challenge? Do we have viewers?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Probably not.
But they're really cracking down, and I think you also like scenes in television shows where men and women are together have to be very specific.
Mm-hmm.
And the hijabs have to be like up to spec. You can't be too loose or too tight or whatever.
Crazy.
I often think about the guys who sit around dreaming up these rules. Like the guy that was watching TV and there was a girl eating pizza. What went through his head?
I'm having some impure thoughts.
Was that what it is?
Yeah. It's like, it's not my fault. Okay, we have to ban this.
Wow.
That's a really sad situation.
It's a whole system that's designed to forgive men for their thirstiness. Well, again, something of a letdown at the end because I had timed it or planned it out for Krista's outrage to take us out on that one. You can always count on Krista.
Instead, you just get the abject disappointment in humanity.
And I kind of want pizza.
Pizza does sound good. You know, it's funny. One of the things that I had to deal with earlier was Mom was like, I want to plate a thing from the pizza place for lunch. I'm really hungry. Please go get it for me because they don't have drivers. And it's just like, does it have to be right now? Right this second?
Is that true?
Yeah.
They don't have drivers?
They don't have any drivers today for some reason. Apparently, 2 people called in sick and they're just stuck.
What's the peanut butter situation?
I was able to locate peanut butter on Amazon. Somebody dropped a link in the comments on last week's news for an Amazon seller selling Jif peanut butter, and I got 3 or 4 cans in, something like that.
Did you overpay?
Yes. It was like $8 a jar or something like that.
Oof.
But Mom's got her peanut butter.
How long will that last her? Will that get her through 2021?
No, that'll probably get her through.
That's a lot of peanut butter.
Probably about a month, maybe 6 weeks.
Wow.
She likes peanut butter.
Clearly. Well, if you have any leads on peanut butter, chat, Jif peanut butter, creamy, right?
Yeah. No, not the crunchy. The one somebody also dropped a link for crunchy, and it's like that won't do.
People are very specific about that.
Yeah.
I don't know very many people who are just like, yeah, I'll have either one.
I like Alton Brown had a recipe for using the food processor to make your own peanut butter, and I did that one time, and the peanut butter was delicious enough to do that again, but the cleanup was brutal.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, how long did the crusted peanut butter stay on the food processor?
I mean, I got it clean, but like you get it clean, like you can wash it off, but then there's little bits of it left. And you're like, oh, I thought I got it. And like, you know how like the plastic of the food processor has some curves in some places and then little creases in others?
Oh.
It was impossible to get it out of the creases.
They put those, they put pieces of plastic in there that are stabilizing, that are structural, but they put them on the inside. Why don't you put them on the outside? Then you get a grip.
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up taking like a butter knife or something to like put in there backwards, and then you scrape the plastic, and like it took probably 10 or 15 minutes to clean up, and it was like, I don't really want to do this again.
And then you went and bought Jif.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's better. It is the superior peanut butter experience for anything that I've ever had, but it's just so much work.
Yeah, I like my burgers better than I like McDonald's too.
Yeah.
But it's a pain. Well, so next week, I think Chris is coming back next week.
Check out that Linode link below.
Oh yeah, and we should next week have some kind of announcement for your service.
The gaming.
Some people, we actually had a comment where like, "What's the rules for this Devember thing?" And I'm like, all we ever do is tell you to go to the forum and look at it.
Yeah.
Go to the forum and look at it.
Yeah.
There's
2 things you can do. There's a gaming thing, and there's a development thing. You can't do both. Well, at least you won't get a prize for both. But the development thing is for development, and the gaming thing's for gaming.
And there are people on that forum who have such a desperate sickness in their mind that they will help you with anything. Like they almost can't. A little bit of what Wendell's got, but way worse. Like Wendell has to help. If you have a problem, he compulsively will have to help you. And the people in the forum are the same way. So just go and ask them.
We appreciate you all, except for the ones that offer bad advice. Then shame on you. I don't know.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.